Welcome to Season 2, Episode 1 of the Middle-Aged Bodcast. With me, Raging Rich.
And me, T.A. Shelano.
And T.A., it is Halloween week, we are back.
Indeed. Trick or treat. Treat, obviously. You know, with Season 1 wasn't enough for you. Here we are, Season 2. Can't wait.
100% really excited about this season. We are bringing you so much. We're obviously going to keep our health and fitness journey going, but we're also going to be bringing you more guests, more stories, and just general lifestyle tips and tricks.
But before we get to that, I'm afraid, you know, and I'm not sort of trying to suggest, you know, that my celebrity is growing here, Rich, but you did promise me when I signed my contract for Season 2 that I would get a more appropriate chair for podcast recordings. And here I am, again, sat in this chair in your office in the studio, and it is not the required standard of what I signed for. So for the next episode, I would be really appreciative if I could have a suitable chair for the talent that I bring to this podcast.
I tell you what, I'll make a deal with you. Once the Doctor's Hidden Patience hits 50 purchases, I will get you a new chair.
Well, it shows how much attention you're paying. I'd sold 65 before it launched.
Yeah, but I don't mean pre-sale. I mean from general sale now.
Right, okay, well that's interesting. It's a relatively low bar that you've set me.
Well, I want to get you the new chair. That's why. I don't want you to be uncomfortable.
So you're trying to renegotiate my Season 2 contract.
Well, I'd love to know where this contract is, because there's no papers been signed.
I mean, you know, this is how things go wrong in business and the celebrity world, where people have agreements and then they renege on them. You know, this is what drives lawsuits and all sorts of problems. You know, I mean, otherwise I'm very satisfied with the conditions and was very keen to sign the contract. But, you know, just in the benefit of my own comfort, which will, of course, draw out much more, you know, of the ability that I can give here. That's all I'm asking for.
Do you want a cushion? I can get you a Superman cushion if that's going to work.
I don't want a cushion, thank you. But
yeah,
if we can just consider that.
I'll do my best. I do know that we need to, now we're back for Season 2, we have said we want to make this a little bit more of a comfortable recording experience for ourselves, so certainly.
But just as a starting point, I know obviously Season 1, we really had the weight loss challenge, which you won. I don't want to get back into the whole integrity of whether you were weighing in your pants, standing on one leg or any of that. I accept that you won. We were considering a rematch, but I think we've both had a think about it and decided that actually what we'd like to do is to build on what we sort of achieved through Season 1 and our reflections. That Season 2 is much more about against ourselves, and I think that's a good thing for the listeners as well, is not always comparing with what somebody else is doing, achieving or not, is to look at what we ourselves do. We have starting recording weights for Season 2, which, again, those who would have heard at the end of Season 1, those figures are quite similar. At the end of this season, we will give you obviously what our starting weight was for Season 2 and our end weight, but I think this is about us actually saying what is our goal to achieve sort of between here and sort of Christmas, really, with this. We will be having a special Christmas episode and a New Year's episode, but before that we'll obviously have the run of episodes here while we follow our goals. Do you have specific goals that you'd like to talk about, Rich?
Well, I have a couple of things. Obviously the weight loss, that's a big thing, and I do think even based upon our final weights from the end of Season 1, there's still a lot of work to be done there. So just the general habits around things and the cooking. And I know we joked in Season 1 about the chicken satay. By the way, folks, the chicken satay will be getting cooked before the end of Season 2, hopefully. Say hopefully. T.A.'s shaking his head. It's getting done.
I wasn't even going to mention the satay. I mean, to me it was just a given that you've agreed to do this chicken satay, and you know that you will deliver upon this.
Well, let's just say we joked around at the end of the episode for Season 1, at the end of episode 10, about the cooking, and did mention that I cooked your tea last week and made enchiladas. You're still standing, so that's a good bit of progress at least as well.
You know, Rich, I don't have any particular issue with your cooking. We know enchiladas is your signature dish. I can never make any claims to the listeners here that you've ever food poisoned me or Mrs. Shelano at all. But all I'm sort of saying is we obviously picked out during an episode of Season 1 where we went through that cookbook, found something that we thought was reasonable to do, wasn't overly convoluted, and then since then it's almost become the plan to deliver the satay.
Well, it's not so much even the plan to deliver.
Before Shelano completes writing his second book.
No, it's more the fact that I'm cooking it for you and Mrs. Shelano. We've got to find a time we're all available to cook it as well.
Yeah, I know we're all very busy people, but we can find...
We're getting off track here. We're getting off track here today because, you see, let's just point out how this all began, because actually this began last time when we were doing the final episode of Season 1, Episode 10. We were talking about cooking away from recording, and you brought up the lamb pilaf. You were talking about using stock cubes and all this stuff. So I took some inspiration from you when I did a slow cooker chicken curry. I did a chicken tikka masala. Now, normally, my chicken tikka masala consists of getting the chicken breasts, getting a jar of sauce from the supermarket, chucking it over the top, putting a few other bits in, go. Always find it's a little bit too watery as a sauce. I've tried doing things to thicken it up with mixed results. Instead, this time I used a packet mix with some of the ingredients in the mix, but I actually put a stock cube in it, and it was fantastic. So I thank you for the inadvertent tip that you gave me that helped to make the best chicken tikka masala I've ever made in my slow cooker.
Well, I hope that this will be a continuation for you as part of your goals during Season 2 and beyond, really, with continuing to explore different ideas with your cooking. Like you say, you've taken an option there that you've really seen the benefit of. I think that will obviously stand you in good stead as you expand your horizons.
I've even found a little hack for naan breads, and folks, believe me, this is brilliant. So a few weeks ago I was talking about like easy peasy garlic and all that other stuff. So I bought one of those little tub things that you can like shake out little garlic flakes and stuff. So if you get some naan breads and then you get a bowl, put a bit of butter in there, right? Get this this garlic stuff, shake that over the butter, mix it all in, and then spread it over the naan breads, sprinkle some cheese over the top and grill them. You've got a cheesy garlic naan that's really nice. It sounds so basic, but for me, it's quite an advanced thing to do. So I'm quite proud of that, and I think, it's been pretty good so far.
But that's small steps, though, isn't it? And that's the thing, as you build up and you build your confidence in what you're doing, you will do more and more experimentation with your cooking, and in the end, it will build all the way up to a successful satay. I'm absolutely fully confident that that's where we will get to.
We are going to get there. We're going to have a really good chicken satay. We hope.
Now, Rich, obviously we did say here we are broadcasting for Halloween week. I'm sure we'll get a little bit more into that, but I do have a great Halloween story for the listeners. It's from yesteryear, but I'm hoping it will be a good one. And so I actually moved into my house during Halloween week a few years ago, and we got trick-or-treaters knocked the door, and we were literally, it's like when you've moved house, there's stuff everywhere, boxes, you name it. And my mother-in-law, Shelano's mother, answered the door to the trick-or-treaters and told them that they've just moved in, everything's everywhere, we haven't got anything, blah, blah, blah. Now, I'm not casting any aspersions on what those poor children thought when they saw my mother-in-law, but in the years that have passed, do you know, we haven't had a single trick-or-treater return to our address, probably because they don't want to see Mrs. Shelano's mother answer the door, even if that's the only Halloween she was there. So if you want to get rid of trick-or-treaters, Mrs. Shelano's mother is hireable. We will have her answer the door, scare the children away, and you will be free of that worry for the rest of time at your house or wherever you may reside.
First of all, your poor mother-in-law, the way you talk about her, but secondly, I've actually noticed...
Disclaimer there, Rich. I like my mother-in-law dearly, in case she's listening, and wouldn't have wanted me to, necessarily talk about that story, and will be moaning about me for telling that story. But yeah, obviously, if you are listening, we do obviously, of course, like you very much, and the story is told with great affection.
Well, I was just going to say about Halloween, one of the big things that there's seemingly changed a little bit, I think, is people tend not to now knock on doors that don't have Halloween-themed decorations up. I've noticed, certainly, when you go out and about, you see a few houses now treating Halloween a bit like Christmas. There's lights up, there's loads of Halloween paraphernalia scattered around the house and whatnot, and some people round by me do a really good job of promoting it. I actually have, based on where I live on a main road, there's not actually much for trick-or-treaters. However, my next door neighbours do tend to occasionally put up Halloween stuff. Now, the one year they went on holiday at Halloween, and obviously they've got all these decorations up and people were knocking on their door. And this one day, some kid knocked my door and I just heard his mom telling him off because there was nothing up. And I genuinely would have gone and given them some sweets, because I every year buy stuff but end up eating it myself because there's no one to give it to.
I mean, I like the fact there, Rich, that you blamed Halloween as to why you'd have bought loads of sweet treats. But as any listener who's been following the podcast will know, you and I didn't become the size of a baby elephant only buying sweet treats at certain times of the year. But I take your point.
No, but you know what I mean, like buying the little packets of chocolates and whatnot that you can get that every supermarket likes to sell around this time of year. But yeah, it's an interesting one with Halloween, and it's a strange time of year because obviously we've had a big thing over Christmas and stuff like that, but Halloween is starting to become quite a big thing here in the UK.
Yeah, you're absolutely right, actually. It wasn't quite such a big event here up until more recent times. It was a very, very prominent event, particularly in America, I think, but certainly it has taken off more in the UK than it used to. But yeah, it's just one of those times of year where we're kind of building into that winter period, aren't we, as well? So, yeah, interesting.
See, we've gotten a bit off kilter here, haven't we, TA? But yeah, certainly with the goals, like I say, the cooking and the weight loss, certainly doing a lot more of that. Certainly more of the exercise, and actually, like we've said in the previous season, it's just cutting things out, and it's been really helpful. Just not eating as much random stuff as I have in the past.
Yeah, I think on the goals point, so although we're obviously not challenging each other, we've got those starting weights, as we said. My target here for the next few weeks, running into sort of the Christmas time period, I'm going to go for a stone this time. You know, I barely scraped the half stone in season 1, but this time I'm absolutely aiming for the 1 stone marker there, I think, which is around 6.5 kilos, I think, for anyone who's thinking about it in that sense. That's one of my key focal points, and also, like you, continuing on with the cooking and trying to build confidence and skills more so in that area.
I've actually put in a little bit of a hint of borrowing my parents' air fryer potentially as well at some point, so there may even be a bit of cooking potential there, to be fair, with mine. So
I'd hate to negotiate during the middle of an episode. I know it's not good business sense, but actually I think you've just given me an idea right now. I've obviously asked for a suitable chair for recording purposes. If that is provided, I'll speak to Mrs. Shelano. Let's see if we can get you an air fryer on Santa's Christmas list for you.
Well, I think one of those things is actually going to happen, and it's probably going to be the bloody air fryer.
Oh, okay. I mean, unbelievable, really. Okay.
I'm joking. We will sort out a chair, don't worry about that.
Do you know what would be good? Genuinely, now. I reckon we get you air frying something, right, for when we do our special Christmas episode, which you can tell us a little bit more about.
Well, yeah, one of the things that we've been thinking about is doing bit of a Christmas special, talking about some Christmas tradition, music that we like to listen to at Christmas, films we like to watch, which may or may not have a bit of a ho ho ho, yippee-ki-yay, but there's lots more planned. But Christmas special, hopefully something for people to look forward to towards the end of the season.
I'd really be interested in that one. I think there's some good stuff we can cover there, so I look forward to that. And I think our New Year's episode as well will obviously focus on that whole New Year's resolution thing, whereas like you and I have almost been going through our own version of resolutions as part of the podcast. And here we are, we will have done kind of 2 seasons in the second half of 2024. It'd be interesting to see where we go with that for 2025 as well. So those are a couple of special episodes, but obviously outside of that, You've obviously got the episodes with Rage and Rich and I, and some good guest episodes that we're hoping to do as well. And I know one topic you're quite interested in covering is dating.
Yeah, we're hoping to obviously get some guests to talk about dating and health and fitness and a lot of these other topics that we're looking to cover. But I've got a few stories as well that I can throw in with some internet dating, including possibly the worst first date that I've ever had, and had to go on one of my 2 trips to Leicester in my life.
Well, we'll look forward to listening to your stories.
Well, my second trip was your wedding.
Okay, well, again, I was just about to say, well, look forward to listening to your stories, but one of the things, obviously, as a bit of a disclaimer here, is that I've got to be very careful what sort of stories I'm going to tell on the basis that I have been married to Mrs. Shelano for 10 years. So I can't really talk about dating stories. There aren't any Mrs. Shelano, but just in case listeners thought, I'd join in and sort of, suddenly give away, that would lead to my divorce proceedings, I'll just help you through the process of your stories because, obviously that's just as a married, I'm not having the same experiences of these things as yourself these days.
So I suppose that's pretty much wrapped up a sort of intro to the season, hasn't it, T.A.?
Well, it is. The only thing about your goals, are you going to set a figure in mind or not?
I think a stone as well, if I'm being honest.
Okay, stone.
I think that's a good target, and we did say with season 1 we were going a sort of minimum half a stone. If we could do a stone, amazing. So actually, it's a good way to push that up to, let's go for it.
It's perfect. Season 2 stone off. There you go. We got it. That's the tagline here. I think that makes perfect sense, and that will be interesting to see how that goes.
So we just got a few things we'd like to mention to you folks. So please don't forget, you can find our website on middleagedbodcast.co.uk. There's links to all of our social media on there where you can follow us on X, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, all that good stuff. And of course, links to everywhere where you can also listen to the podcast if you want to try out some other podcast platforms.
And if you haven't already purchased your copy of The Doctor's Hidden Patients, my debut novel, get to shalanobooks.co.uk and treat yourself for a cracking read.
And of course, as we said, it's Halloween now. It's a great opportunity for people to purchase the book as a Christmas present for someone.
Well, why not? Why not? Get it on the list. We've got options there for you. You buy a gift. What a gift to give somebody to show them you love them. One of the best books released in 2024, if I do say so myself. And I'm a mere 10 million sales behind Richard Osman, so he's looking nervously over his shoulder, I tell you.
Thank you very much, everybody. Please do remember to subscribe to the Middle Aged Podcast wherever you're listening from, and please do share with all your friends and family. But thank you very much.
Thank you.